Hey guys, do you like that Christmas morning feel of opening up a box, not knowing what's inside, feeling all sorts of excitement to find out what's inside? Well, let me tell you, you can feel that excitement every other month with a subscription to Farrier Box. Most farriers want to be competitive, whether it's attracting top-notch clients or winning contests. They take the tools and tricks of the trade used by today's top farriers and ship them to you so you have what you need to take your career to the next level. Go to farrierbox.com to start your subscription and use code BRAINS for 25% off your first month's box. I repeat, use code BRAINS for 25% off your first order. I know I like receiving packages, but I like it even more when it's a surprise, but also knowing I'm getting cool tools and tricks from Farrier Box. There's nothing out there like it in today's world of farriery, so you might as well go and level up with Farrier Box. Go to www.farrierbox.com and use code BRAINS for 25% off your first month's order. Thanks, guys. Let's get back to the podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Forging Brains podcast. I'm Roger Patrick with Gavin Cooper. Today, we got an awesome guest, someone I get to call a friend. He is a very friendly guy to a lot of people, helps a lot of people out. He's super handy horseshoer, good family man, good businessman, just all around a good guy. So, Adam Fahr, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. This will be fun.
Yeah, thank you, man.
This will be fun.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that we can get you on here and get to talking. And we kind of go through the same basic, like a run back of everybody's life. And I've talked to you a bunch, but it would be interesting to people hear how you kind of got started horseshoeing and what made you go down the path of shoeing horses.
I don't know. It's just something that I started doing when I was young, like really young, probably about 12 or 13. My cousin was shoeing horses. He went to Ardmore and came back. So in the summers between baseball and football practice or whatever, I wasn't going to sit up in the house, or we weren't really like that. You know, we stayed active and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're going to work. So, we cut a lot of wood in the summer, stuff like that. But if we weren't at some sort of sports practice or working on our place, then I was with him shoeing. Joey's his name. And so we'd shoe horses. And it's a wonder he even made a living for those 3 years I was running with him, because I'd tear up more shit.
Really?
Oh, dude. It was, and he'd feed me lunch, and I'd hold horses, pull shoes, crimp nails, and probably doing more harm than good every day. And then it'd stop and be like $20 at Taco Bell. I just eat him out of all the day's profits. He wasn't between feeding me and repairing and buying new tools. He didn't prosper us that much.
How much older was Joey than you?
There's 5 years difference.
Okay.
So he was like 18 or 19 at the time without doing them. I say he's probably around 19, and I was probably 13, 14.
So is he like fresh out of shoeing school at that time,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
You jumped in with him to try and
yeah.
learn and stuff?
Oh yeah.
Oh dang.
For sure.
That's
Almost
sure.
a blind leading the blind at that point, huh?
Oh, for sure, dude. And
But what a cool cousin.
it was fun.
Yeah, what a
what?
cool cousin to let you hang out. Like the little
dude,
13-year-old, like other cousin.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, come on with me. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but let's go shoot some of these horses.
Yeah, he's like, we'll sort this out together. No, it was kind of like I got sucked in. He's like, hey, you want to do something cool? And I was like, what's that? He goes, hold this horse. I'm like, oh.
Oh boy.
Holding a horse, I don't care. You could be you can do anything, but holding a horse is like, it's rough, man. Like holding
I hate
it. It is the worst.
Dude, I do. Like in your mind, this is before smartphones.
Oh, dude.
It's before anything. If you want to hear music, you either had to buy the tape cassette, or is whatever's on the radio. You're at the mercy. And so I'm like, holding the horse and looking at this.
You're
And,
counting
you know, I
every
remember,
board in the stall fronts. Just
dude, just anything like whatever. And I'd get yelled at for just not being in the moment. Like, hold this horse. You know, there's a reason you're holding it and the reason we're not tying it. And I'm like, whatever.
Well, there is
Whatever.
probably too that like Joey probably wasn't that great under the horse and was pissing the horse off, and he was getting frustrated, and he's like, "God damn it, Adam, you're fucking off again."
Oh, dude. Look, there was one in particular, this red mare that we was shoeing, and she was a man eater. She always was. She was a good mare. But to be around her, you know, she was just a man eater. And I remember it was hot, didn't have a barn to get in or whatever, so we're in the mercy of the sun, and Joey, he'd sweat like a whatever. And I like the heat. Like, I embrace it. I love it. He hates it. And so he's under this horse, and he's making me hold her. And I'm sitting there holding her, and my mind's and she's being good. Like, for the first time ever in her life, and probably the only time moving forward past this little episode, she stood. She was standing. I think the heat kind of had her whipped down, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm holding her, and I'm playing with the lead rope. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I look over at Joey. He's under the front left, and he's sweating. I mean, he's done sweat through his jeans. He's sweat through this. And Arkansas, we have tropical environment, humidity, you know. And I look over at him, and I just can't help it. I'm like, I go at him and I'm acting like she's nosing him or something, you know. And I nose him right there on the side, and he comes up with vengeance, with a rasp, and starts beating this mare into the.
She didn't even know what was coming.
Oh, dude, she was half asleep, and he starts just whipping on this mare, takes her from him, whips her all the way down the hill to a tree, walks her back up, and he's just pouring sweat, hands her back, goes, "Don't let her do that shit again." And I'm like,
Yeah.
I sure will. She will.
I ain't telling you, that's me.
Yeah, that was me the whole time. But no, I mean that was the fun days, like blind leading the blind. Like, yeah, Joey's a good shoer. He's recently retired from it. He's went construction, him and another guy, but solid horse shoer for years. But those early days, man, like ignorance is bliss, you know.
Yeah.
You just you do whatever.
Oh man. So did you work with Joey like all the way through high school?
Yeah, I did in the summer. Sure enough, you know, I mean, we was back and forth to Fort Worth quite a bit. You know, we'd do anything. We'd haul horses. We was going to shows and ropings and all this stuff. So shoe horses and do whatever we could do. And then in '97, I remember my dad came home one day and he's like, "Well, did you get the horses done today?" And I was like, "No, we went and did this and that." And he kind of got a little bit mad. And I'm like, "Well, you know, if I went to shoeing school, I could at least do our own." Next thing I know, he ships me off. So in the summer of '97, before my senior year, I lived out there in Oklahoma in Ardmore, and I came home and I didn't play football that year. That was kind of a big stink around, but I didn't play football. I just went to shoeing horses and graduated high school. No more baseball. I just shod my way through college, and then after college, I was like, might as well just keep going, huh?
Where'd you go to college at?
Arkansas State, ASU.
What'd you study?
Ag business.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some marketing, you know, business and marketing stuff. But I've enjoyed the shoeing. You know, when something fits, it just fits. I mean, there's bad days, and there's days that you don't, you know, the people or the horses or a certain environment or whatever. But that's with anything. But as a whole, I'd rather have a shitty day doing something I love as the shitty day doing something I feel like I got to do.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
same.
Right.
So did you ever have any other job besides just shoeing?
No.
Just that?
No, just shoot.
No, just shoot. Well, yeah. So before I graduated high school, you know, in the summers I'd go with Joey and shoe horses, and then we'd cut wood on the weekends. We'd do whatever, and then we was always building fence. Like, God Almighty, we'd build fence all the time. And I popped off to my dad one day. I was like, you know, I can get me a job down at Food Giant, Second Groceries, and they pay me. He goes, "Oh, you don't think you get paid here?" And I'm like, well, you know, like real money. And what he's trying to say is like, he's like, there's a lot of benefits for working here, you know, like. So anyway, I went and got me a job sacking groceries. And I remember I was like, I don't quit. Once I'm in, I'm in. Like, I don't quit. And I'm in there, and there's a guy that had this barn he always kept about 30 or 40 head. He came in there one night getting groceries. His wife sent him shopping, and he looked over and said, "What in the hell are you doing here?" And I'm like, you know. He's like, "Tell Billy," the guy that ran the whole place, is a nice store. He said, "Tell Billy you need 2 weeks notice in. You need to come see me." And I'm like, "Deal." He got me out of that. But stocking groceries and sacking groceries, I did my time. But no, that was it. I've always just shot horses.
Oh, that's
That's
awesome.
it.
Wow.
Did you enjoy college quite a bit? Like, obviously, you probably enjoyed the
No.
fucking up, but like the actual studying part?
No, not at all.
Oh, really?
Was it
Not
2
a-
years?
Huh? No, I did 4. I did a full stint, or I did 5. I mean,
shit.
hell, I probably did enough to be a doctor, but whatever. um, no, I did my 2 year. I got my 2 year degree in business, and then I went for the bachelor's. And to be honest, I'm probably like 12 hours shy of finishing my bachelor's. But I walked out. I was like, I can't. And what did it? I walked through the library one day to study for some finals, and they had this table set up, and they were shaking hands, greeting people, and all that. And they said, "Hey, you got a minute to take a survey?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Well, you got free cookies, food." And I'm like, "All right, I'm broke.
Okay.
I haven't slept. You got food? I'll tell you whatever." And so I walked up and I said, "What is it?" And she goes, "Well, we need to know what you want us to do with your infrastructure fee." I was like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Well, on your bill every semester, you get an infrastructure fee." And I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "What would you like for us to do?" And I was like, "You mean to tell me you got a bill on there's a add-on, a charge on my bill, and you don't even know what you're doing to do with the damn money? Like, how about you just give me that money back until you decide that you need it for something?" Like,
Yeah.
I'm doing all I can to pay. I wrote a check at the beginning of the semester. I wrote a check at midterm, and I wrote a check at the end of the semester. I paid my way through college shoeing horses.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I did. And I said, "So you're taking money, essentially, you just added a charge on here and you really don't know what to do with it." "Well, and I'm like, "I'm done. Like, I just can't do it no more." Like, so I think that was probably my last semester,
Yeah.
which is probably stupid, but I don't know.
I don't know either. Do you like? You think that like the piece of paper was gonna help you out that much more, or like you were gonna learn
No, but
that much more in the next 12 hours of class?
no, but finish. You finish what you started.
I get
Finish
that.
it. And I guess, I don't know. I just didn't go back that next semester or whatever to finish out my bachelor's, and I probably will. Like, I'll sit one day and kind of figure out what I need to do to kind of tie up the loose ends. But at that point in time, young and whatever, I'm like, "Are you serious?" And I probably took it totally wrong. It's probably just a survey. What would you like to see done with it, rather than? But at that time, I'm like, I'm giving all this money. Like, every time I turn around, I'm buying a $300 book,
Yeah.
a $200, and writing 3 checks a semester. And I used to park. I had a shoeing trailer at the time, Southern Classic shoeing trailer. They built them in Sumner, Iowa, and I would park in a no park zone because the ticket was like $12, and it was a lot more convenient just to pay the ticket and be able to get to class on time than it would be not to.
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing everything I can here to make this work. Like, and now you want to know what I want you to do with it? Just give me the money back.
Yeah.
You
Dude,
know?
just don't
Yeah.
charge me in the first damn place. Just
Yeah.
like there.
And then it was like I got charged athletic fee. I didn't play athletics in college. And they're like, "Yeah, but you got to pay this." And I was like, "I got to pay a fee to go to football games that I don't even go to or plan going to."
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, I don't know, but
They like to act
Yes.
that students are just like have all this free money because most of them all it's like insurance companies and stuff, like that the
well, it'd be
doctors
no
like
different.
knock it all up because like, well, you're not paying for it technically anyways. It's like you probably were like the 1% of kids paying for it.
Oh man, it got rough, but I mean it's part of. I mean, just do it. But it just hit me like, and then I think like, well, if I was shoeing for Joe down the road and he sold his horse, and 2 years later I go ahead and send him a shoeing bill just for the hell of it, like, no different. Like, I guess I did learn some stuff in college. Like, yeah. But I didn't do the parties or anything like that. Hell, I didn't have time. It was class and back to
Work.
work. Yep, class and work.
Were you were you like already making some shoes by then, like out of shoeing school?
Yeah, not like some 5/16 plain stamps or whatever, flip a keg shoe over, make a sliding plate, or something like that. I've always pulled my own clips. Never really had pre-clip shoes until here recently, and I buy them. And if the clip location works for me, then send it. If it doesn't, grind it off and put one where I want it.
Yeah.
So, no, I didn't make a lot of shoes. I did a shoeing. I graduated high school in '98, and then I did my first contest, I believe, in 2001, I think. And Mr. Lee Green was the judge.
Who was the teacher out there at Ardmore?
And he came in. He was in Arkansas, and there at McVeigh Farrier Supplies, and we got out in the middle of a rodeo arena, rodeo pen, and I mean the sun was beating down that day. And we had you couldn't even see the heats on your shoe. You bring it out, and it's like, it's been in there for 15 minutes, so it's got to be hot, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't see the color or anything, but that was the first contest in '01, and I did the next year in Arkansas in '02, and then didn't do anything for a while. Get married, kids, stuff like that, and then
When did you and Kelly get married?
In '03.
Okay.
Yeah, be 20 years this August.
So did you guys meet in college, or?
We met no, we just kind of knew each other growing up, like different horse shows and rodeos
okay.
and whatnot, and then bumped into one another one day at a horse show, and then just kind of
went on from there.
Yeah, just went on from there. AC was
So-
born in '05, and
Okay.
life
Who
rolls
was the shoeing instructor out there at Ardmore when you went?
on. David Goodman.
David Goodman?
Nice.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not sure I know who that is.
Yeah, he.
Did they-
I believe he just passed away not that long ago.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, he was super cool individual and a great instructor, kind of easygoing, which is great. It's to be that level headed and that calm around that type of atmosphere. It takes special people to be educators and instructors. Period.
Yeah.
But in our field, anything can happen at any time.
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
you gotta look for the person that's doing whatever you're trying to teach them, and that animal has to let them do it. And if it doesn't, the animal's going to win
See, I couldn't
at
imagine.
any cost.
And
Yeah,
not
and
good
like-
animals. Not good animals at all.
No, I mean, you get whatever is available
Yep.
to teach and stuff. But David was super easygoing, a very, very good teacher and stuff. Super handy around a horse. He was taller. I'm 5'9". He was taller than me, but he could fold up under a horse and get around a horse, just sneak around him,
Yeah.
That's like Jukes. He's good at that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. And Jukes is what, 6'4", something like that, but he'll fold up under a cutting horse in a heartbeat, and you're like,
Yeah, and he's good at it. Like,
yeah, he's very good at it. Slick, very slick.
yeah.
But yeah.
So did he
it was
kind of
good
have like
company.
a big influence on you for like getting ready for like going to your first horseshoeing contest?
Who, David?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Him, and there was a guy there named, and I feel bad because I can't remember his last name, and I've tried. His name was James, and he was competing at that time, an instructor at the school, and he had a red heeler that went with him everywhere. But I'd watch them guys and just see how smooth on the anvil they looked at the time, and just, yeah, absolutely. I mean, to have that skill set, I mean, I don't see who wouldn't want to, but yeah, huge influences. There's very few people I've come in contact with in this trade that hasn't had some sort of influence. That's the cool thing about this trade.
No, it is true.
No matter what level, if they're students or if they're just out there in the trenches every day, or if they're competing, or if they're educators or whatever, or even if they're not doing contests or what I consider traditional shoeing or whatever, maybe they're into modern materials or whatever, but they're paving the way for new. There's nobody I haven't met that hasn't influenced me in some way. Most of it's positive too.
That's a hard thing to do sometimes though when you meet people to like to to focus on what that you could learn from them. Like everybody always says it,
Yeah.
like, oh, try to like see what you could learn from 'em, see what you could learn from 'em. But it's hard to get there in the conversation. I feel like sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Because I mean, yeah, there's a few that I've felt over the years are probably a bit less ideal to be around, but for the most part, I mean, it is what it is. But just take something from it and move on. You know.
Yeah, you got to try to find, I think, like that common ground of where you can kind of meet up a little bit, so you can see where the like correlation is between you guys, or where you could
Hmm.
take something from them, or
Hmm.
they could take
Yep.
something from you. You somewhere you guys can share a common interest.
Yeah. Maybe like I've been around one individual that just dog the contest setting, just the negative, anything negative you could say
Yeah,
about this guy's preaching it and stuff. But one day I saw him do one aspect, one little thing, and I was like, that's pretty slick. All right,
yeah,
I got
yeah,
that. So I mean, touche. There it is. Take it
Yeah.
and move on.
yeah. No, I think you're spot on it because like we do still have like the biggest thing in common with each other is the horse. And
Hmm.
so we're still gonna have like that meeting ground there that we can each gain something from each other. I
Yeah, and if
we're
they're in
each
it for the
party's
horse,
guilty of it, right? Of
yeah,
like
oh yeah,
putting on the brakes and like, well, our way's the way. It's like, okay, might not be.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's the path of least resistance to get what the horse needs. I mean, that to me is the most ideal. And sometimes it might be the decision that requires the most work or whatever, but the less resistance for the horse. And that's what it's about. I think the people in this trade that truly aren't for the horse, they'll weed themselves out,
oh yeah,
you know, quick.
Yeah, if they're just in it for the money, basically.
Well, the money or I want to do this because I can make my own hours. I want to do this because the easy buck. I mean, those they tend to fizz out. Let them run their course and try to help them, but they'll fizz out.
no, I think you see it even on the way. Like you even see some like upper people that get a little like quick fame in our trade. Like
Mm.
happens real fast for them, and but you can like you see the writing on the wall pretty quick of that they see an industry that they think they could be really popular in really quick and be like I
Yeah.
hate to like say it almost like an influencer in it, and like
Hmm.
the trade kind of eats them up pretty fast and exactly it kind of shits them out
Yeah.
the other end because like
Yeah,
sometimes it
big
happens
time.
really quickly but it's like sometimes it takes a little bit
Yeah,
but
it
it
does.
does happen like if it happens pretty quick that you can tell if you're not really into it because you love it or you love the horse it's
Yeah.
it's gonna be hard for you.
I think the more
In it
you
for
have
the
the love
wrong
for the
reasons,
horse,
yeah.
I think the more you have the love for the horse or the trade, the longer you're going to stay in, no matter what.
Hmm.
Like
How could you not?
I couldn't.
It's too hard.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody just literally asked me this week, like, how long are you going to shoe? How long are you going to keep doing this? And I'm like, there's no plan B, So I mean, because they see the other stuff I have going on in the shop, but that's just kind of side stuff, I mean, the main focus is still shoeing, always has been, always will be.
Yeah,
So there is no plan B.
yeah.
Probably until the body breaks down, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then you got to
Yeah.
do everything you can every day to kind of, counteract that.
Yeah.
So
Keep up with yourself, yeah,
yeah, you
physically.
have to.
What type of
You have to.
things? So I don't know if you're like a lady about it, and I'm not trying to be like the sexy guy at all like that. But like I just know like the ladies don't like to say their age sometimes. How old are you, Adam?
43.
And like not trying to be weird at all, no homo, but you are like you're a pretty fit 43-year-old. You see some people that are 40 years old and like they're bitching and moaning about moving around and they're already kind of getting stiffed up. But man, like I saw you last, at the classic, and it's like, there's probably not a big percentage of 40 people in their 40s that could do that 2-hour go at that hard, going that hard. So what type of things do you do daily to take care of yourself?
Wind straw. You gotta get that wind straw. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know what Winstraw.
No, that's it. No, that was a joke. No, anyway. No, that was a joke.
Sorry.
No, just I don't know. I think I've always been active, so I just try not to let go of that. Like run when I can, or hike, or get a gym membership and use it. It doesn't mean you got to sling the weights, or I did CrossFit for a little bit, and I thought that was a ball. It's a good time.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really mesh with our day in, day out abuse. Like my elbows did not like it. My wrists did not like it. So you just got to be smart about it. But I think run when you can. Mountain bike. I love the mountain bike. It's surprisingly, you get on that bike and your heart rate will get up so fast.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good time. It's a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like that kind of stuff. But mainly those three: the gym, mountain bike, or run. I'll just pick one of the three and do whatever I can that day. I think you have to. I think that's nothing more than making deposits in your longevity. We stay at 90 degrees. Life at 90 is what I tell people around here. I'm just living life at 90 because that's how we stay most of the time.
Oh, yeah.
So, where did he go? So
he's always wandering
anyway,
off sometimes.
Yeah.
I got my little heater going. So I was like trying to turn it up and turn it down.
Yeah. So anything I can do to kind of offset or counteract life at 90, bending over all day, staying from the anvil to the horse. So run when I can run, bike when I can bike, go to the gym, put some weights on and just kind of loosen up and stretch it out. It's just.
No, I think cardio is one thing a lot of people forget about. Where it's like both those things that you're saying is like lungs. Man, you see so many, not even just the competition world, but you do see it a lot in the competition world. Dudes are just gassing out.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what happens to them. It's like, and I think it's interesting. Like you're saying, like you're always trying to do something above just shoeing horses, though. Yeah. Shoeing horses is pretty hard, but
I think we get used to the strain though. And used to, I think a horse leaned on me a lot, and I still have a tendency, and I think everybody has a tendency to pull one out too far or not stay up under. We all do, and being on a team, you're going to get called out for it, especially if you're the first guy on, and the second guy comes over there and you done piss that draft horse off with a warm blood because you're pulling on him, you're going to get called out. So, but Craig. I heard Craig say something. You pick up tidbits here and there, and it's not necessarily stuff that's sent directly to you or anything, but you might be walking by and hear somebody say something, and you're kind of like, damn, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So I heard Craig say it. He said it one time, and Craig's what, 6'4", 6'5"? All my buddies are 6 foot. Life under 6 foot is totally different than life at 6 foot plus. So
right.
Anyway, Craig, him, Bodie, Daniel Jones, Jukes, all these guys are like Tyson Clark. I mean, tall guys, but they all get under horses really well and stuff. And Craig said this one tidbit one day. He goes, "If you don't want a horse to lean on you, don't give him anything to lean on."
Yep. That's a good one. That's a fucking killer one right there.
And I'm like, all right, so you start like, well, that don't mean nothing. Then you start getting under these horses, you're like, okay, maybe I'm not, So it's true. If you don't want them to lean on.
No, it's natural reaction. They start leaning and pulling on you, so you start stepping out and forward towards their head even more, and you're like, come on, you bastard. Like, I'll pull on you then.
Learn to get up under them. If that horse is happy, like wherever you pick that. And Jim Keith one time, he did a clinic years ago. It was in Arkansas, and so many things about that clinic that he did just really stuck with me. But he was talking about getting under a horse, and he picked the leg up, and he's talking about sighting the foot, how he sighted the foot, and had the same picture each time, and all this. And he said, you know what? And the position I'm holding this foot when I'm sighting, it's going to be the same way it's between my legs, and the foot never moved, and he just worked around and got. And I'm like, the foot and leg never moved.
Yeah.
He just got around it with his, and I'm like, noted, you know.
Yeah.
So learning to get under horses and do anything you can to counteract what we do all the time, I don't think none of that's a bad idea, you know.
Yeah, when I watched like Bodie folds underneath one super good, well, and he gets his toes and knees pointed towards each other, and it's completely and it's like once I noted that, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm not doing that as much. He's way taller than me. Like, I should probably be doing a little bit of that. It was crazy how much better my hips felt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the guys that are 6 foot less, I think we sometimes are hard-headed because we know we're shorter and we don't think about it as much. We get lax and we get lazy about it. But them guys that are like 6 foot, you know, there and above, they're a little bit more conscious of it.
Yeah.
And I think more so than not, the guys that are taller in that group with Daniel and Bodie and Craig and Tyson and Jukes and all them, more so than not, them guys tend to get under horses a lot better because they're more conscious about it and stuff. And I think the shorter guys are like, well, we just fit anyway. Well,
I think conscious about it, and the longer legs you have, the more you can get your legs under the horse. If you're just a real short leg guy, it's like your legs are only so wrappy. You can only get around them so far. You know, like even riding them, you can't come up underneath your belly if you're always popping them in the side of the ribs all the time.
Yeah,
but it's like those long legged guys can just like send the foot so far underneath the horse just because like their legs are so long.
Yeah, there's kind of like no way around it, right? Like they can't just bend over at a 90, you know, kind of like how we short people, we could just like bend over at our back.
And we do it. You see guys all the time,
you know,
bent over at a 90 and just holding the foot with one hand. Like they're not even holding it with both legs.
Yeah, I try to engage both legs, like get under there and hold that foot and stuff. And sometimes I get lazy and I'll cradle the foot on the calf or whatever. Yeah. But I think what's brought me, and this has been a topic in my mind about getting under horses and stuff, just for me for the last 4 or 5 weeks or whatever, is because I've been working on flat a lot more. Just a little bit more and more on my day-to-day stuff. And so to get flat, you got to get up under there and really get that foot planed off and
get it stable. Stable is like, man, you can't, if you're not even talking about horses, if you just talk to a machinist and you're telling them like, I'm trying to file this piece flat, first thing they're going to be is like, how stable is your vise?
Yeah, they don't ask you about the file. They ask about the vise.
Yeah, like it's all about work holding. It's all about holding the project.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been working on getting under a little bit better on the front end because that's where I'm at contest-wise or whatever. And then on the back end here lately, I've quit using the hoof cradle as much, and I'm a huge advocate. I like the hoof cradles. But yeah, I did for years and years, and I say years and years for last 5 to 8 years probably. You know, somewhere around in there. I mean, pretty good stint. I've been like, give me the cradle, give me the cradle. Yeah. But I got to thinking like, I think I could probably do better without it. So I just started, and it makes you feel better. Your back is better. Your legs are better.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Way, way better. But it was humbling when I first started, and I still take the cradle with me every day because I think it's better stated that the cradle is nice to have for the horses that need it. You know,
that's why I carry one. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to get under ones that are just wore out and 20-something years old, and you know. But for the most part, I try to stay under them all without the cradle and stuff. But I think the cradle kind of gave me a few issues relying on it so much. Not saying it's a bad tool. I think it's something that we all need in our rigs because it sure beats trying to hold one up that can't hold themselves up, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But I think for the most of it, I've just went back without using the cradle, and it's been a lot better. A lot better.
No, that's what I noticed with the cradle is that I would go to that back to that 90 because I wasn't relying on. I would just like whoop, go ahead and just like break in half again, and I'd just like hang over the cradle the whole entire time. Which is good.
Yep.
But it's interesting you say about the getting flat and holding it because like, man, that was my frustration this whole year on is like I would have the same low spot on my feet each time. You know, like that. I'm doing the right high. I was doing the right hind, and I'd have a low spot on that lateral cord, that lateral heel would be a little rolled off, and it's like I know when it's happening too, and it just pisses me. You know what I mean? You're like, I go here, and the foot shoots back from the tendon. You know, the tendons go tight again, and it just rolls that rasp right off of the edge, and just fucking ruins it. It just pisses me off.
Yeah, yeah. I have that. Well, at the classic, you know, Lamar, he's checking feet, and he comes over, and he's like, every time he's like, it's flat, but right here, and I'm like, all right, I got you. He come back over there, he check it, it's flat, but it's right there, and I'm like,
was that spot moving or was it the same spot?
no, that is the same
spot.
Same freaking spot.
Oh.
And so he come back over there, and I was like, here, final check. It's flat, and Lamar, you know, it's flat, but it's still right there. And I said, oh yeah, it's right there. Give me that foot. Give me that foot. Course side engaged.
Your side. It's not gonna be flat anymore.
I said, yeah. He said, I said, look at it now. He goes, oh yeah, that's spot on. I'm like, oh, whatever. Turn it in. I'm out. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's like I always have this one spot.
And you were looking at it too before you would have him check it, I'm sure. And you were like, you were like, it's flat. It's there.
Yeah, I'm like, that's pretty freaking flat. And he'd come over and he's like, yeah, but it's that one. Like, it almost like if you had enough callus on your hand, you'd rub it off. You know, I mean, he's wanting, and I'm like touching it. He goes, it's still just right there. And I'm like, all right. Hit it with that core side. And he looked and goes, it's perfect. Call for a judge. And I'm like, God, I can't get that 8 minutes of my life.
Yeah.
You know? But it's hard. Getting flat's hard. And that's why I've started thinking. I thought more in how I'm positioning under the horse, just for file control, rasp control, and then really, really looking at a lot of feet every day. And I'm not saying I get every foot I trim every day flat. I'm not. I'm just trying to find my consistencies, or, you know, if it's high, is it always high in the same spot, and why is that? And, you know, just I think it's super hard. It would be a task. Like, how many horses could you do a day if you were getting every foot laser flat?
It's time consuming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And at the contest, you need to be able to do it in, 7 minutes, 6 minutes?
Yeah.
Trim out, you know? So if you did that 7 minutes per foot.
That's 25 minutes a horse.
Yeah, so you can still shoot one in an hour and some change, so why don't we do it?
Because
it's taxing.
And most of us are burning shoes on, so it doesn't matter at that point.
But this is just the stuff I'm
like
talking to myself with every day. You know, I'm like, if I can trim out in 7 minutes at a contest and get flat, how come I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. I guess it's taxing. Doing that 1 foot at a contest is taxing.
It is a lot on you. But would it be taxing after a while?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Because that's like, you know, if after a while, if you're just doing it on every horse.
Well, they say what you do in a day is what you do every day. That's why I just been thinking about this stuff, you know, leading up to Classic and what. Like,
Ford talks about it a lot. You got to be a believer.
Yeah, and I'm a slow learner, so I mean, like, that's what I've been doing, I guess, leading up, like, just a few weeks before the Classic and whatever. I've had these self-talks, like, why don't, you know, if you trim, like, just that little talk, like, if I'm trying to trim out in 7 minutes and have it, then, you know, the 3 years on the AFT, we sent pictures and stuff and everything, and fits had to be spot on and everything. We did it day and day, and that helps. That kind of stuff helps. then I got to think about my trims. Like, it's just me. I can't take a picture of flat really, and so here lately I've been like, I'm gonna see, but it's taking me longer than 7 minutes. And I'm kind of like, how can I do this on a day in 7 and not here or 8 or whatever it is on the day, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard. It's so freaking hard.
Yeah, there's not the pressure of the clock there. It's not like a hard deadline as much on the everyday
Yeah.
as much as it is there. You don't have your teammates with you every single day.
Just a matter of
to
like
yell at ya.
holding yourself accountable.
That's the hard part.
Bingo.
That's what I found. Because after you do that first or second one, you're thinking that third one, it's flat.
Close enough.
Ish.
Close enough. You're like,
Back to burning.
I gotta get going. Like it's funny.
Yeah,
it's
gotta
funny
get
though.
going.
Like all those little things that you use. Like you're like, yeah, I'll take care of this next time. Those are those little things that bite you in the ass. That then you go to do
Yeah,
the
on
go.
the way-
Like you go up to practice with your buddy, and you're like, it got me, didn't it? I tried to hide
Yeah.
that little demon in the closet, and that fucker came out and shit on the carpet right in front of everybody.
I'll clean this up.
Yeah, it's
I'll
like,
clean
sorry
it up.
guys, sorry.
Yeah. It's like, how come you just took them bars out? You do that every day? Almost.
Yeah, it's like crumble it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were weak. They were weak. But no, it's that's just what I've been. But yeah, I guess that stems from like trying to get under the horse better, do anything I can to counteract all that, and try to keep everything, hopefully, until for another 20-something years.
No, I think that's a
So what-
solid option for you.
Well, when was the first year that you made the American Farriers team?
That was, I did 18 and 19. I was on WCB, and then AFT 20, 21, and 22.
Man,
Which one do you think was harder between the American Farriers team and the WCB team?
Harder as in,
which one was harder to make?
oh shoot, I think both of them's like, I think both of them are equally as hard to.
Because when you
like,
were on AFT, there was no team trials at that point, right?
No, the third year there was, yeah. How'd that go? Yeah, there was. So I made it at convention when it was a full push, and then I made it with team trials. You know, so I mean, I think no matter how it's done, it's got its own degree of difficulty for sure. Like
Yeah,
to show
one
up at
takes
convention
5
with no
contests throughout the year, and then one's just
Yeah.
one contest, right?
Yeah, like to show up at convention and compete for 3 days and try to get on there. I think that's pretty tough, and I think like going to WCBs and competing against those guys, you know, 5 or 6 contests a year, whatever it was. I mean that's tough too, you know. So I think, and team trials are a different beast too. They're tough. Time restraints and everything's on the foot, and you know, specimens on the foot every day. I don't think one could be more difficult than the other at all, really. I think it's all
Different beast.
yeah, it's all different, you know.
Can you think of what would be like your biggest takeaway of that that benefited you from being on one team or the other, or both teams, I guess?
I think both teams. I think benefits are one and the same for both teams. Like the people you're on the team with. Like I've been lucky and I've been on really good people on the teams. Like it's been really fun. Learned a ton from everybody, from all of them, and everybody laughed. You know, cut up. So the traveling together, practicing together. Everybody was willing to do their part. Everybody was a teammate. The benefits are pretty much all in the same. You know, just wearing different colors.
It's a matter of like teamwork and working with everybody.
Oh yeah, it was good. You know, like it was good. All of it was good.
Was that your first year that you were on the WCB? Was that your first time being on a bigger team?
Mm-hmm.
And like, have you already done any like team events before that with anybody?
No, I was on the Division II team.
Okay.
Me and Gavin, we
Yeah,
went
I was
to
on there with you.
England. Yeah, we went to England and did that year. But aside from that, that was it.
Man, so
That was
like
it.
how nervous do you remember your mindset difference between like going into the WCB team that first year compared to your
Oh,
last year of going on to the AFT? Like just the
yeah. Like I was that first year. You get on that team and you're just like, I hope to God I remember which hand holds the tone.
yeah.
You know, like,
They ask you like you know
like
how
I
to punch a
mean,
nail hole? You're like, I don't know. Like,
yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
sure.
for sure. Yeah, like just everything you try. I think. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to fail. And for me, for a long time, and it's changed a little bit here as of recent last couple of years, but for a long time, me not wanting to fail would almost keep me from succeeding. And me and you talked about it a little bit at North Carolina last October. Like, I quit looking at things as like I have to be able to be good at this and succeed every time I do it. And I started looking at things as be in it for the moment. Like, it will come. Just do your best. You do you. Like, I'm not competing against Gavin or Riley. I'm not competing against the WCB team or the AFT. I'm competing against me. I'm competing against me on that front left foot, or me at an individual, or me what I did at convention last year as opposed to what I'm fixing to do now. So when I found that my biggest competitor is myself, that took some pressure off, and then I was able to kind of relax a little bit in the team settings or even contests in whole when I started realizing that it's way bigger than any of that. It's way bigger than. I mean, we all want to win. Don't get
Oh
me
yeah.
wrong. Like, I love competing, and I'll show up. I'll practice, and I want to show up. But you got to step back sometimes and just look at the whole picture of what we're doing. Like, we're just trying to be the best at what we do, and the the journey to get there is what we need to really focus on. Like the family, the friendships, everything that you build. And when you start seeing that, for me, when I started seeing that, when I started looking behind me at everything that kind of led up to that point, that first year or second year in the WCB, that kind of relaxed me a little bit. And I started, I went to Craig one time, and it was after a contest or whatever. It was after shoe and go. And I said, what do you think I need to do different, whatever? And he looked at me and said, you're going to be right here where you're at until you start learning how to have fun doing what you're doing. He said, sometimes it doesn't look like you're having fun. And I'm like, and that kind of hurt me. I was like, Craig, I'm having fun or I wouldn't be here. I didn't say
Yeah.
that. But in my mind, I'm like, if I wasn't having fun, I wouldn't be here. He said, Adam, you know how to bump and draw and make a shoe and dissect a shoe and whatever. You know how to shoe a foot and all that. He said, but you're going to be right here where you're at until you learn to have fun. Like, you just need to have fun doing it. And I'm like, and I was like, yeah, thanks, whatever we had. And I thought about that, and dang, Fahr, man, he was so right. Like, if you just let go and just have fun doing it, oh man, I'm not gonna say it gets easier. I'm just gonna say it's more fun. And then when it's fun, you do better.
How long did it take you to accomplish that though? Of like, okay, you have the realization, right? You're like, okay, I need to learn how to have fun at this. It probably didn't just happen right away. You know, you're like, oh,
No,
okay,
because
I'm
you
having
gotta.
fun
Cause
now. Like,
it didn't, and I think when we all first get in it, we're all wanting to have fun. We all are having fun, but then you get caught up in the, dang,
oh yeah,
I missed this, or I burnt that shoe, or I slipped that weld. Man, I got this place instead of that. Now I suck, and now, man, all my buddies don't want to do this with me because I want to suck. I mean, we all like you want to be seen as, but I think how long did it take? I don't know, but it didn't click until I learned how to let go of that mentality. You know,
yeah.
and then when you let go, and it's, I don't want to say it's the I don't care mentality. It's more or less, oh well. yeah, I burned that shoe up and I got one left. So, but there's another go this afternoon, and I'm gonna knock that one out of the park. You know, I had that short term memory, and so
It can't be like it
so many
can't be that
different.
like you don't care because you still need confidence, huh? In like what you're
Yeah, you
gonna
still need
do.
confidence, but you need confidence knowing that you can execute, and execution comes from practice and preparation, and all that. So if you do all your practice and preparation, you show up and you get X results. There, now you know, and you had fun doing it. Now you know I need to practice more or practice this more or how to practice. I mean, I started looking at it like that rather than, man, if I don't do well in this class, Gavin and Riley's not going to ask me to do a podcast. You know, like it's not it's literally it's about it's not about that. It's about having fun. And Craig was right. And that
Oh,
boy, I
completely.
mean, on the way home from that contest, I thought about it, and I'm like, how do you have fun? I am having fun, or I wouldn't be doing it. Then I thought, are you really? No, you're doing it because you want to be seen as good at what you do.
Yep.
You want to be, you want to be good. You want to, but that's not fun anymore. You know. So when you start taking the pressure off yourself, and this is, and I told some people in a deal one time. You know, they asked the same, like, how, at what point did you start seeing things turn and progressing a little bit? And I said, when I learned to let go. Like, for
It's like
instance,
you're worrying too much about the
I tried too
repercussions or the
hard.
consequences.
Trying too hard to do everything. Just like, oh
Yep.
man, I wasn't top five. I said, for instance, I said in 2015, how did I place in the individual go in Sheridan, Wyoming? Does anybody know? Anybody?
Exactly.
Nah.
Nope. Does anybody give a shit? No. Win or lose, fifth or 10th or second or whatever it was, nobody cared. I mean, it was another contest, and I'm sure there's bigger stories about that contest and how I placed. And I can tell you, me and Andrew Wells would fly in, rent a car, meet. He'd get a room, I get the car, and we had the same routine. We would walk around the morning of, and we'd see the same shops, talk about the same stuff, go eat the same steak at the same bar. Then we'd have, then we'd show up at the contest there at the polo field. We'd do match play, and I remember he's like, "Are you still in?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm still in." He goes, "Ah," because it was the opening game, Alabama football, and we'd leave there. As soon as we both tapped out of match play, we'd get in a rental car, and I mean, he would be driving and not even talking, and on his phone looking at the score, and we'd go to the same place.
Hoping to not
We'd
hit an
order the same
antelope
pizza.
on the way back into
Yeah, no
town.
joke, or a mule deer,
Yeah.
you know, and we drive and we get pizza and wings at the same place and do that. That's what I remember about Sheridan, Wyoming.
That's great.
You know, and we always had cool shoe lists and all that. I mean, the contests were fun and we're doing well. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there's so much. And once I started looking like that, I was like, man, that's cool stuff. You know,
Oh no.
you're having
I
fun.
think
It's
I
fun.
think that was like if there was gonna be an ad for WCB, that'd probably be the ad right there because I think you nailed it when people are like, yeah, but I'm gonna take time away from my family. I'm gonna take time for this. It's like that's the part you gotta remember. This is fun, and these are your friends, and that's what it's
No,
all.
this is
That's
family.
it's like
This is this is
everybody
friends
shows
don't talk
up.
to friends.
That's true.
Yeah, friends don't talk to friends like what we do at these contests.
No.
No, family does
Yeah.
though. Family does.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but everybody's real with everybody, and like that's the stuff I remember, you know, and like on the teams and stuff, like yeah, you have bad goes and good goes, good practices and practices that were tougher than others and all that. But as soon as that fire is put out and stuff, it's we're gonna talk about it, make adjustments, and we're having fun.
Yeah.
And as a whole, the practices are fun. Everything's fun about it. It's just Craig was right. You got when you start having fun, you go from here to here, and I can't tell you how that works or why that works, but it works because I guess you're less stressed about how you're perceived as a competitor or how you did the last go. You're not as good as what you did the last time you was on the go. It's like baseball. It's an average. It's over a course of not one season, several seasons, you
Yeah, and
know?
that I think
And
like man, when you're not having fun and you're so worried about and like this, I'm guilty of this, and I know you know that of that. when you're so worried about what everybody's like watching of and how they are going to see your go, you aren't just conscious in your go. You aren't using your conscious brain anymore. If you are like, well, you don't even know what to do because you're like so worried about what people want of you and what like, and you don't
Yeah,
know what's like trendy or not, that you're like, you're doing weird
yeah,
shit in your shoeing and like nothing blends together as flow because you were just like so all over the place trying to
yeah,
appease all these things or do something so over the top. Where if you would have just like went in there and tried to have, like you said, have fun and just do what you do, it would have been all
if yeah,
right.
exactly. That's the second part to it. If you're having fun and you step up at the practices and just do what you do,
Yep.
that way that way every all right. This is the true canvas. This is it. So we don't want that. We want this. Let's do that. Just do what you do, and that way your teammates and yourself can critique it honestly.
Yeah.
That's when you start. But when you
That's a
but
good one.
that's when it all starts coming together, and that's when it's fun. Fun is when it starts coming together, and then when you make a mistake, you know why you made the mistake, you know how you made the mistake because that's what you honestly do. So now you know how to fix it. It's not fun doing it another way. I'm not saying a bad way or wrong way, a way that somebody's telling you to do it, not being vindictive or anything, but they're trying to help and do it, and it's
Yeah.
not. You know what I mean? And you're just like when like a shoe and go, for instance. If somebody says, if you say, "How do you want me to trim this foot?" and talking to your striker, and they say, "Well, do this, this, and this," and you do that, and boom, you get slapped for it. Well, I don't know did, how did I do so bad? I did what I was told,
Oh
you
yeah.
know. But if you just step up to the plate, practice good trims and practice good shoeing every day, and then go. And on the day you lay that down, and they're like, "We like this, didn't like that, and all that." You can comprehend that,
Yep.
and you can build on that. And being able to build on
Mm-hmm.
that and understand it is fun. And then you see progress. Progress is fun.
Yeah,
So
being
I
confused is not that fun. Confused and
no, it's not.
frustrated is just that's where it gets
Yeah,
starts getting ruined.
yeah. Just throw your sucker in the dirt and go home. You
Yeah.
know. But no, that's what that was a huge deal. And like I guess back to how long did it take? Is as long as it would take for somebody just to say, okay. I think it's a pride thing. I think pride. I think it's
Hey guys, do you like that Christmas morning feel of opening up a box, not knowing what's inside, feeling all sorts of excitement to find out what's inside? Well, let me tell you, you can feel that excitement every other month with a subscription to Farrier Box. Most farriers want to be competitive, whether it's attracting top-notch clients or winning contests. They take the tools and tricks of the trade used by today's top farriers and ship them to you so you have what you need to take your career to the next level. Go to farrierbox.com to start your subscription and use code BRAINS for 25% off your first month's box. I repeat, use code BRAINS for 25% off your first order. I know I like receiving packages, but I like it even more when it's a surprise, but also knowing I'm getting cool tools and tricks from Farrier Box. There's nothing out there like it in today's world of farriery, so you might as well go and level up with Farrier Box. Go to www.farrierbox.com and use code BRAINS for 25% off your first month's order. Thanks, guys. Let's get back to the podcast.
I don't care. Like so now, I have fun. Like if I go to a contest and I have a bad go, I'm like I had a bad go. Like how come? No excuses.
Yeah.
No
Just didn't go that good.
no. It just didn't go good. But guess what? Tomorrow's a new day. I'll see y'all
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Um, that I don't know. It's not a I don't care if I win or lose attitude, and not because I want to win. Like I really do want to win. It's more or less like I'm just gonna have fun too. And you gotta have a short memory. Like if you
You
step
do.
up to the plate and strike out, if you strike out right now, that's okay. You're gonna get up to bat again. So
Even shorter,
it's
even
all
if
about
you
the
just had a
average.
bad last heat. that next heat when you come back out, you can try to redeem. Just like move on with life and act like it didn't happen. Like,
Yeah, like, and I think to be, for me, and I'm just talking about my mindset. To be a competitor, you got to be a student, and to be a student, be able to understand that you're going to fail. And this is something me and my daughter talk about a lot. I asked her the other day, and she knows the answer, and I was just asking her just to ask. I was like, "What's failure?" She said, "Stepping stones to get where you want to be." And I'm like, "There you go." It's not negative, and for so long I thought failure was negative. It's not. It's just one way not to do it. So
yep.
if you go to a practice, or if you're in your shop, or if you shoeing a horse for a client or at a contest, or whatever the case may be, if it doesn't go necessarily your way, then chalk it up to that's one way not to do it next time, and learn and move on and have fun.
And no, that's a good one, man. That's the only way it's gonna be worth it is having fun at it, or you're gonna resent it, and everybody else around you is gonna resent it as well.
Yeah, and then the difficulty doesn't seem that bad.
No. So you got a wife and a daughter. And you compete a lot. Your daughter does a lot. How have you managed to balance that all out?
I schedule. You schedule family, you schedule contests, and you schedule practices, and then you schedule work.
No, that's
Work's the last on it, huh?
Yeah,
the least important.
is yeah. In the whole scheme of things, like, I'm not saying don't work. I'm not saying don't go to work, or I'm just saying schedule. Like, it's not hard. Put your calendar in front of you. Big contests of the years. Scratch those days out.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have at least one team practice a month. Scratch at least one weekend a month. That might fudge. Like AC's graduation is going to be the week after team trials, so I scratched that out. I'll be at team trials judging with Andrew, so I scratched that out. And any family stuff in the middle and all that, you scratch it, and then you just schedule work in. Most time, family stuff's on the weekends.
Yeah.
So then you just schedule your work in. So, I mean, you just kind of block out your days on your calendar for all the stuff that you want to do, that you live to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then schedule work in the rest of the time.
Yeah, because I suppose you pretty much already know you're going to have to go to work and do these things to pay for that anyway. So, yeah, I guess I just misunderstood the way you worded that.
Oh, no, I'm not. Work is important, and I enjoy work, but I enjoy competing and going to practices and family stuff and all that. So,
well, then it's not even a mystery though. Like, how much you have to work.
Yep.
Like, if you have these things that go on, and you're like, okay, well, each contest costs this much. It cost me about this much to go to each team practice. Graduation's going to cost me about this much. This is mortgage, truck payments, whatever else. Like, you're like, well, I need to do at least this many horses to pay for all that.
Well, then it shows you how many days you have to do X number of horses, or how many horses you can. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, here recently, I started scheduling at least one day a week in the shop just to work on shop stuff, tools or templates or whatever.
Yep.
And then usually I end up 2 days in the shop because I've got people that haul in too. And then I'll schedule all my other shoeing stuff. And I mean, I don't know if there is one perfect way to schedule.
No, I think it's going to be different for each person, like a little bit.
So that's kind of, for me, that's what's worked for me. Like, I schedule family, contests, and practices. And then I schedule work. Customers,
everybody's lifestyle is different and has a way to fill it. Everybody's lifestyle is different and has their own way of making that work.
Yeah. So I think we all do it. Like, I'll procrastinate working on my schedule book. Everybody I've ever talked to in this trade, like, the schedule book is like, nobody likes doing it. Sitting there and writing stuff in and calling people and stuff. But I think
it's my least favorite part.
I hate it, dude. I hate schedule. But the more proactive you can be in that aspect, I think everything else kind of gins better.
I hate the weirdness of the schedule. Like once I like,
So,
there's no way I could be one of those horseshoers that like every Sunday calls people and sees if they need them to come out or It's like I want my schedule set up way in
yeah.
advance so I don't have to stress out about it. So I don't have to be weirded out about like the random
Yeah.
things that come up. That's what I don't like. I don't like the unknown of like
Well, mine can change. Like I know some guys that'll schedule. Like if I did your horses today, I schedule 6 weeks out, and I
yeah,
give you a piece of paper with that schedule on there,
none.
and there's no communication,
That's what I do.
and then he just shows back up.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
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 If you aren't
See, I
there and have a
couldn't.
check ready,
I
you are
couldn't.
not the client for me. I want a planner. Like if you can't take me into consideration
Wow.
and like
I
be
couldn't.
ready in 6 weeks, I'm gonna be here, so you be here. You got
Yeah. No, I couldn't. I couldn't. There ain't a customer on my
really?
book
Yeah,
that would do. I'd
that's
have
funny.
to. There ain't. I just couldn't. No. No, it's pretty. My schedule's pretty as far as like scheduling horses and stuff. 5 to 6 week schedule. You know, if I'm traveling and your horse is due, like say this Friday, but I'm leaving Thursday, then it's either going to get done before I go or when I get back, or I mean, I can't set my schedule in stone. I set contests, practices, and family, all that stuff, family and all that. I set that in
Flowing
stone.
through it,
Everything else is
filling in
kind
the
of fluid.
cracks.
Yep.
I always hear that, like getting a new client or whatever, and when I reschedule or I get done with them, write the invoice or whatever, and I set like, oh, this will be your date for when I come out next, and they'll be like, oh, you actually do that? Like my last guy, he would just kind of tell me he'd be back in 6 weeks or whatever, and that week he'd let me
Yeah.
know I'll be out this day. So you're kind of one of those guys.
Yep,
I'm like,
that's
no,
me.
I
I,
gotta
I
have it
just I
lined
sent out
out.
some I put out text messages before this
Oh
deal
really?
started. I said I'll be there in the morning.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
man. Because I couldn't
yeah.
handle that even as like if a service guy called me, like if an electrician was like, "I'll be there in the morning," I'd be like, no, you won't. The fuck you will. Like I'll see you in 3 weeks, man. Like
I won't be here.
at best, I got plans. Like, I got shit to do.
No, no, I did because I mean I don't know. They kind of knew I'd be in touch this week, but then I was like, man, the day got away from me. I was finishing up a batch of punches out there, and the day got away, and so I just sent those texts like, okay, it sounds good, and I'm like, sweet. One stop would be 10 head,
How many
another stop is
horses do
just
you
one.
do in a
So,
day usually? You got help, don't you?
I don't. Yeah, every other week I have an apprentice, and then I have one day in a cycle to where it's like 20 something that we'll do 22, 25, and then I'll have Yvonne, which is with me every other week. I have her and another guy, Cody, and we'll sit in and do that whole barn in a
Yeah.
day. And it's fun. Like it's pretty laxed, loud music and just having fun, kind of throwing rocks at one another when we're working, picking. But we all do pretty good. I don't schedule a whole lot for myself. Like
Yeah, that's good.
4 or 5 sets a day, a couple half sets. I don't. I try to get back. For so long, I did so many horses. I don't like doing big numbers anymore. I like doing something where I'm just not don't feel gutted by the time I get home.
Yeah, can enjoy
It goes
yourself a
back
little
to
bit.
yeah, it goes back to longevity. I think everybody, once you start shoeing horses, you only have so
Yep.
many horses in your body. You got a number. I don't really want to do them
Is
all in the
that
first
one of the
20-something
reasons
years,
why you
so.
started getting into more shop stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that and I just enjoy that. I haven't really quit any horses. I've just the other stuff just kind of,
Did you
Added in
think
there.
that's what you were
yeah,
going to
just kinda
start
took
doing
off.
when you,
So,
like what? Because you got a burn table. Burn tables aren't real cheap, you know? But like,
no.
were templates on your mind when you bought that?
Yeah, templates were, yeah, they were. When I bought the burn table, I kind of thought, man, this would be a cool deal. Maybe see if I like doing templates or whatever. But I kind of more or less I had kind of some ideas for some signs. Maybe tap into something that wasn't necessarily shoeing related, but like do an archway or something. I mean, I just thought a burn table.
So you didn't buy it. You weren't
you can do whatever.
I'm gonna buy this burn table. And I'm gonna do templates. You're just like, I'm gonna get a burn table. Yeah.
Not specifically for templates. Like I had the idea of templates for the last couple years in my head, like have a array of sizes, shapes, and all that. And then whenever I started doing them, I haven't done the first flipping sign.
I believe it.
I've got six sheets out there right now that I got to get burned, in the next few weeks, but in the next week or two. But I haven't done nothing, but I've done a few T-squares, playing around with those, and then most of the time it's just
that's awesome.
I will say those patterns you make, they're freaking sweet, compared to what we've had for X amount of years was basically just the AFA templates, and then we see some that come out that actually look like feet, and it's a big help.
You can say they look like feet, and what I'm learning is, like, I'll get some feedback from the West Coast, East Coast, and all that. Perception of what a foot is kind of different, But then again, Craig makes a good point on his stuff. A hind foot's a hind foot, and front feet are, and so I'm kind of in this rabbit hole trying to figure out. I don't know. Like I hear some tighter heels or whatever, and then I hear people like, no, the wider heels and stuff. So it's been really, really neat to see how people are interpreting the patterns. It's been great feedback, but everybody's like, yeah, I see feet like this, but, and they're like, oh, I see feet like that, but.
No, like, it's so interesting even just to hand a pattern to somebody and be like, which side do you think is the lateral? And you just see guys staring at him like, is it this one? Is it maybe this one? You're like, which time? It is like some of them are super obvious, You're like, that's the lateral for sure. But then some of them, you're like, tell me which one it is, because everybody just sees the feet so much different. Like it's just shape is so perspective, and there's so many lines on patterns and stuff like that, anyways, in feet. So it's like there's a lot to catch your eye and kind of draw it around a little bit.
Yeah, it's been the templates have been, I never dreamed that it would. I thought at most if I did a couple hundred, that'd be cool, get a few different shapes and sizes and use them for team practices or whatever. Flip, man, I never dreamed.
Did you like burn that first sheet and then bam, it just went? Like it's like word got out.
Oh, it was that. Yeah, the first when I shipped that one off, that first purchase order to Wellshod, when it left the shop, it might have been halfway there. I got a second purchase order. Yeah, and it nice. Hasn't really slowed down much more than that. Like it's truly been. And on here, I tell everybody, thank you if you're buying them.
Well, that and a little shout out to one of our sponsor hookups that happened is me and Gavin got a Farrier Box sent to us from Shannon over at Farrier Box, and this month's box had some of your templates in them, and so that was a pretty cool. River Bottom Forged, that's the name of Adam's Forge, and that's the stamped on the templates there. So it's pretty cool to get that everybody got sent these templates and we're able to try them out. I think that's I think it's going to keep taking off for you,
I hope.
Yeah.
And I say I hope. I never, like I said, I didn't plan for it, but now that it's kind of buzzing like it is, I'm going to try to get my other draft patterns out. And then I got some other ideas.
And I'm sure it wasn't like your huge goal, but it's like they're a little more economical, right? Like this fur is like, I think those AFA patterns were like $75 a piece or something like that. Those aluminum, they were expensive. I remember when we first, like, everybody was just making their own crappy patterns because the AFA ones were so expensive. And how much are your patterns?
but they're good patterns. I I think they're
His inverter, the battery's starting to kind of go down on it, I guess. Did it to us the other day with Tyler. It's going to be in the dark.
It's gonna be like the Blair Witch Project in here.
Yeah.
Well, it's
gonna get it
like
running.
my
Yeah, all right.
battery. Like I think my battery crapped out. I get a new battery for my inverter. But another shout out to the Farrier Box. They sent like a battery pack. Came in this monthly thing, and it had a flashlight on the back of it.
Oh, hell yeah.
And so that's what I got going right here.
Dude, that battery pack's pretty cool. I set mine in the truck and I was using it just to see how. I mean, it charged phones and everything good. Well, after I'd used it, it ran it down pretty good, and I didn't think nothing more about it. So I just set it on the console of my truck, and I noticed today that sucker
it's
charged
solar.
itself because the
Yeah,
sun
no,
was
it is a
beaming
pretty
on it.
cool little. That's what I
Yeah.
got it. I was like, I'm taking this thing
I'm like-
hunting with me.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
pretty handy. I was like, dang right.
It's one of those things that, and
pretty
that's like
handy. You
we
can
sometimes
put your
we had a one
Bluetooth-
episode we were giving travel tips for horseshoes. Like that's probably one of the biggest travel tips you give is carry a goddamn battery pack with you on the plane, because your phone is always dead when you get there because you didn't put it in airplane
Yeah.
mode and you're scrolling around on it while you're looking at your pictures while you're flying because you're fucking bored. And so you get
Yeah.
there, your phone's dead. You can't text anybody, have them come like meet you at the baggage or at nothing. You're trying to find an outlet. There's none of them. But if you got a little battery pack with you,
Yeah, and you don't.
yeah,
You're a cheapskate, so you don't get the seats with the charger on it.
yeah.
Yeah, but no, I think they retail
Okay,
for
yeah,
like
that
22
is
and 27.
super reasonable.
Yeah, it's
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see. As long as
Yeah,
materials and stuff stay
for like
down, I'm
50
gonna try to
bucks
keep an eye on
shipped,
that. But
then even if it's like
we'll see.
50 bucks shipped, they get 2 patterns for a guy for someone that's taken their AFA test.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's like a draft pattern is like 27 or 28, and then the regular saddle horse size or whatever. I think they're around like 22
You're
or
like
23.
that's a
something
good
like
deal. 50 bucks or so, and a guy can
Yeah.
get some patterns so he can go and make shoes to it.
that. Yeah, and
practice.
I think I'll keep putting some new ones in there. Like right now, a full set is 18. 2 of them be draft patterns,
There's
and then you
18
got
of
16 like saddle horse size or
Wow.
small. And so
Wow.
I think I'm probably fixing to put some new ones in the mix, and then
I
kind of
think that's the cool thing about the way you're doing it is like you've got a different array of patterns, you know, like you get to a contest or whatever and you may be building shoes to like look like this, but those shoes that you've been making almost seem to be like never the foot that you draw on the day, right? Like
Yeah.
you always get like some sort of like fucked up foot or whatever and you're like, shit, this is going to be hard, but the patterns that you make, like, you know, they're not the typical shape.
No, it was one of those things that like
and,
you had to practice.
you know,
where
like, when
you're
Riley and
feeling
I-
a little cocky making some shoes, you'd pull out that little hind. Pull out that hind with
We'd
the real
grab a
J
tough
hooky
one.
lateral, and you're like, all right, I'll try to put a roadster on here. It's gonna look like shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It is, man, but
the heartbreaker.
it's a good
Yeah.
test. It's good to practice it. Yeah.
Yep.
And, like, that's a real test. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been fun. They've been a lot of fun. I was at the winter clinic, and I had some people ask me about them and the different asymmetrical shapes or whatever, and they're like, yeah. And I said, well, here's what I do with them. I put on the floor, and I step back and picture the horse standing in that pattern. You know, I mean, he's probably gonna be toed in and this and that. You know, now adjust that pattern to where the quarters are perpendicular with the
Yep.
spine. And now you see, you know, the conformation in the pattern. And so now when I start looking at feet and making the patterns has taught me to look at feet a little bit more, you know, like quarter placement and just everything. Like it's been a good deal all across, but I'll be honest, I had no idea it was going to take off like what it did. But
No,
good,
it's a great
you know?
it's a great
Yeah,
thing
that's
to
awesome,
do
man.
standing
But I
up
haven't burned
and
out
to
the
not be
first one.
bent over. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, but I got a few more. I sent out some uh, other stuff. We'll see how it goes over as well. But I haven't. Yeah, no signs are coming off that table yet.
Are
None.
you still doing like punches and stuff for sale, or are you just kind of
Yes.
doing that as like a private message me
No,
type thing?
they're still going. That's what I was doing just before we got on here. I sent those text messages to let people know I was doing horses tomorrow, and then
oh,
I finished up
buddy,
60
that's a good
punches
amount.
this
Wow.
afternoon.
So
Yep,
if somebody wants some punches, how can they
Nice.
get a hold of some?
they're at Wellshod.
And I would hate,
Well
like, you
shot.
don't have to
Yeah.
answer if you don't want to,
All
but I
right.
think like that's always something. It's a question people always ask me is how do you do your punches? Because people are always breaking welds,
Hmm.
fucking their punches up and stuff.
Yeah,
So if
people
you
Yeah.
are
don't
always
mind,
asking.
how do you go
Yeah.
about your punches?
No. Um. Now I did them all off the hammer and got to where I was doing
Yeah,
more off the hammer than what I cared to. So I invested in a press and I set up some dies for mine and I press them all out.
yep,
Cut them, chop saw. Takes
nice.
about 2 heat per punch to press where I want it. Sometimes 3 if I want to tidy one up a little bit. Um, then cut them and I stack them back in the coke fire as long as I'm
So
sitting
you
there
take
forging them.
right after that
Um,
last heat, you take the second heat, you go right to the chop saw, cut it off, and then bury in the coke.
mhm. I just set them
Okay.
just set them right in front of that fire. You know, that not
Yep.
really burying them, just setting them right there. Uh, and then I'll do however many I'm doing. Lyle Shepard's been coming in and practicing quite often, so I had him running the fire, and I was just running 2 pieces at once. And he would cut them, bring them back, set them there, and we did quite a few of them. And then, like today, I took that batch, and I think there's like 57. I think it was just shy of 60. Anyway, I took those and set them beside the welder, and I have a jig set up for the handles, and I can put 3 handles in, 3 heads, and I tack weld them all, and took about 20, 25 minutes to do all that. And then um, I warm them up
Okay.
just where they're barely getting
Okay.
color, and then I weld them, and then I don't let them cool back off. I set them on top of the gas while I'm doing the others. That was something that Miss Kathleen Poor told me. I was in Vegas one year, and I had a few welds break, and I mean not just break. I'm talking
Yep.
they would tear loose and pull a
Your
chunk of the
your
tool
weld
steel out. I
wasn't
mean it was
breaking.
nasty.
It was the tool
No, the
steel,
weld
the
wasn't
where it
breaking.
was fused.
The tool, yes, yes, it was letting go of it, and I mean just be gnarly. And Jim and Miss Kathleen
Perfect
were
people to
standing
be
there,
watching.
and I was saying something. Oh yeah, yeah. Like, well, I mean, that's encyclopedias of knowledge on this stuff. And I was like, hey, I was talking to Jim, I was talking to both of them, and then somebody else walked up and caught Jim's attention, and Miss Kathleen said, well, when you weld them, at that point, you do not let them cool back off. Keep them warm until you temper them, until you harden them. And I'm like,
Yep.
okay. And she said it normalizes everything in there, And I'm like, all right. And I've been
Yeah.
doing that ever since. And I had, knock on wood, I
Yeah.
haven't had no issues. I haven't, I'm not welding them too hot, like burning them
I
in.
was to say when
I ain't
you're
got my
welding,
welder
you're
turned
probably
up.
trying
I
to make
just,
sure that you're like you have a
uh,
little bit of a bubble almost with your wire and not an undercut.
you yeah, exactly. And so I just weld them, and when they go from getting welded, I spot them, stack them up, and then I'll bring them to like just a barely a color, and then I'll weld them and lay
Yep.
them all on top of that gas forge while it's running. And then when I get them all welded, they'll be stacked up there, and I'll shut the front door, and I'll put 2 or 3 at a
Yep.
time in each side. It's a Forge Master, and watch them until they come up to like a nice bright orange, no shadows, and then I'll take them out of that, and I set them in I got a grate. It's about,
Yep.
I don't know, 2 by 36. Like one
Tread
of those
grate.
heavy grates,
Like
um,
yep.
trade grate, yeah. So I'll set them in that, but I keep a fan in front of them, and I force air over them, and then
Oh.
I take them Yeah. I
When
take
you
them
set
out of
them in
that.
that grate, are you
I
setting
do all my
striking and
grinding,
down?
rough grinding.
Point up,
No,
point down.
work
In the
in
grate.
down,
Okay.
point down. Yeah, and then
So how long do you think it takes
they
to cool then if you got the fan or it's got air being pressed onto 'em or
15
forced onto 'em?
minutes,
Okay.
15
15,
minutes?
20 minutes. Yeah, well, I just did
Hmm.
60 of them, and that fan probably ran for as long as it took me to start to finish, and then I let it go about 20 minutes afterwards. I mean, don't really matter.
Yeah.
It can run all night. They're gonna be cool when they're cool, But they don't take very long. They'll scale up a
Will
little bit.
you do that? Will you do that if it's colder outside, like wintertime or whatever, or is that just kind of like a
If
summertime when
it's,
it's?
yeah, I will, but I'll heat my shop up.
Mm,
I don't. I
Yeah,
don't try
yeah.
to shock them with cold air.
yeah,
Like 60 degrees, 50 degrees. If it's freezing or whatever, I'm running a heater anyway. I'm not going to be cold. I hate the
yeah.
cold.
Don't come
I
to my
hate it.
house.
So, like, two, two winter, if I come to your house, it's going to be like well in the summer. But 2 winters ago, it got cold, and like I had a diesel heater blowing on me, and I was building shoes, and my quench bucket was still freezing. It was just miserable. You couldn't do anything with tool steel. Like it's not going to. So I spent the money and had it foamed, the whole shop foamed, interior walls, everything, and so that's a game changer there. I can make it tropical in my shop. But no, if it's I don't know what the cutoff would be temperature wise. I would say if it's 40 degrees or whatever, I'll try to. Well,
Yeah.
shit. If it's 50 degrees, I'm running a heater. I want it warm. But regardless, when they come out, I put them on that grate and I just push air over them.
Is
I mean,
that
I don't
it?
really
Is
have
that you're
a.
done with them after that?
It's not.
Okay.
No, I rough grind them after that, and then after the rough grind,
Okay.
I put them in the oven, and I
For
temper
like an
them
hour
back
each.
twice. An hour. Yeah, 400 degrees. I let them come up with it, let them go down with it, set it again, up, hold for an hour, back down. I do that twice. Um, Shane Carter, I got that tidbit from Shane. He's like, anytime you're tempering, just temper back twice. Can't go wrong. Um, and I do that. And the reason I rough grind, you can
Yeah,
probably
you
do that
could,
before you
but
rough
you
grind.
couldn't
I don't
see
know.
it.
But I do it. I do it.
Yep.
Yeah, I can see it after I grind. I like seeing that straw color. And so after
Because
that,
I
I'll
have
bring them
fucked
all
up
back
before and
out.
not ground,
And
and then like the oven didn't turn on. And then you're like, well, did it
yeah, oh
temper or
shit.
not? You know what I mean? Because you're always pulling them out cold. Where then that's now I just
Yeah,
like I grind, or even if it is like if I leave a forge finish, I'll like polish the forge finish so I can see some color. So
yep,
no, I think the grinding before the tempering is a good
yep.
idea.
Yeah, so I didn't. That's just all. And I've had people ask me before. I was like, well, I just like seeing that color. Like, and it's just a good indicator, like you said, that you
Yeah,
didn't
things went
forget to turn the
well.
oven on. So then, yeah, then I go back and I go with a high grit, and I just kind of tune them down. Tune them the best I can and polish them. And I used to paint them the red, white, and blue deal, and people liked it, and it was okay. But I do. There's It's just not very much fun. And
I
that
was
red,
gonna
white, and blue
say,
scheme could
I
drive
don't
me
think people
nuts
understand, and like
trying to
two of
get.
those colors that you chose are really hard. You aren't doing just one coat of red and
Yeah,
white.
exactly. No, you're not. And it's just mind numbing. And so I quit doing that, and I just put a sleeve on them and send them at the door like that. So they're supposed to be work tools, So they're not the prettiest ones, but I think I'm fixing to invest in a tumbler though, because for the templates
Yep.
and the punches, everything that's coming off, just start tossing in
Yeah.
that tumbler and getting
No,
a
I don't think
finish on
that's a
them.
bad idea.
That's the next step. But that's the
Okay.
punches and everything's H13. Um, I don't use any S7. S7, I haven't. I didn't get along with it in the beginning, which has been a few years back. I would like to maybe try some again, but
Exactly,
then
man.
again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I
So the H13, the one thing I like about the H13, if it fails, it just fails. It doesn't seem like it gets mad like S7. You know, it don't blow.
S7 does blow
It's
up.
mad.
And I don't like grenades, but
Yeah,
it's gonna crack really good.
yeah, it yeah, it's gonna yeah. But no, that's pretty much it. There's really no secrets to them. Just that's
No,
the same
I think that's
process
the
every
secret
time.
to them is knowing that there's not that it's like your description there was very basic and easy to follow order, and of how you do it, and like you worked out the kinks in
Hmm.
it. Where you hear some people like, man, you'll see on a Farrier group or
Hmm.
somebody will ask like how to get your punches right. And some of them are like witches spells. They're
Hmm.
just like freaking like, man, these guys are like, you got to be pointing at
Oh
true. First, you got
yeah,
to find true north in your shop if you're gonna get anything going right.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're gonna need 3
Get your
frog
chicken
legs.
bones. But yeah. No, it's pretty much that simple. Like the I think the biggest thing, the most crucial part of it, is when you're hardening them to have no shadows when it comes out, and then putting them in. And I started putting them, I started putting them in front of that fan, forcing air over them because I kind of needed to hurry up one time, and I thought I'll cool these things
Yeah.
off. Well, dang, it worked, and I'm like, I felt like but I'm sure it's all been done before. I just kind of, and I'm sure I've been told to do that. I don't know, but I remember specifically. I was like, man, I need these to cool off so I can hurry up, and I just set a fan in front of them, and
Yeah, I don't. You probably
it just
haven't
kind
been
of
told
worked
that
out.
before because you're kind of in uncharted territory a little bit. Not uncharted, but it's like there's not too many people out there building horseshoeing tools, and so there's not too many. It's not like you can go online and buy
Hmm.
a 4-punch cooling rack, or device. Or like some trades and businesses, you
Yeah,
can buy things like that, But as for us, it's like, well, luckily you had the one lady and husband standing next to your, when you had a failure happen that could lead you the right way. That they are probably the one of the like. There's
yeah,
only a few in the country that are doing production of 4 punches.
yeah. That and that was super cool when Miss Kathleen said that. She just looked at me just just, oh well, don't let them cool off after you weld them. Keep them warm, keep them right there until you harden them, and then let them cool. That way, and I thought, dang,
Yeah.
why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
Like
Oh, I guarantee
but
she
that she
knows
said it
because
just
they
like,
probably have the same thing
oh
happen to
yeah,
them.
yeah.
They're like, yeah, that was happening when we were doing
Oh
this.
man, there's like yeah, but I mean, that's the cool thing about our trade, right? Like in our trade, um, we practice with the people that's going to be competing against us, whether it's in the
Oh,
contest
it is.
arena or in business. And if you're making tools, like I don't really consider myself a tool maker by far at all. I make punches. I mean I don't. I mean
Basic.
yeah, it's a tool, but I'm not like, I don't know. I don't see it as that. But like if I have an issue of whatever it is that I'm making, I can call up any tool maker in our trade, and man, not only are they willing to help, they'll be like,
Yep.
they'll keep you on the phone for
Oh
hours
yeah.
talking about it, like trying to make you better. And if you
Yep.
still don't get it, you'll get an
No, it's
invite
a
to their
crazy
shop.
deal.
That's the cool. Like that's yeah. And then we'll turn around and talk smack about you, and then we're gonna buy your
It's
dinner
so
next time we see you.
Yeah.
You know what that
it's
dumbass called and asked
super
me?
like you talk to people
I
that
mean,
don't go to events and stuff sometimes, and they think that the horseshoeing world is like really big, you know. But then when you start going to events and stuff, it's like you go to like
yeah,
the winter clinic and you're standing there with like most of the tool makers in the whole entire industry are just standing in a little 10-foot circle, just like hanging out. It's such a, like the world's not
yeah,
very big at all. And most of them are all friends or getting shit made at each other's
yeah. You got
shops.
you got the guy. It's super cool. It's a trade like no
Yeah.
other. That's for sure. And that's why I
Well,
call it
Adam,
family. Like it's family because we can say whatever we want to about each other,
Yep.
but we're still family. Like it's
well,
it's cool stuff.
a
Yeah.
question we like to ask everybody on the show is who is 4 people that you hold in high regard in considering, we call it your Mount Rushmore, like who are 4 people that have been a big influence on your life and that you hold in high regard or high respects?
Oh, just in your life.
In the trade?
Could be in the trade, in your life, or anything.
Oh, man. Should have asked me that a while back. There's so many, man. Like I said, I haven't come across very, very few people that have not influenced me in some way. The first one on that would have to be my mom, for sure. Like, that's a no-brainer. Yeah, that's a steady one there. Then you can't, like, I don't know if it's against the rules, but I say that the
No,
Tunker
it's a good
family.
one.
You'd have to.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'd put it
Yeah.
up there as a family portrait, not just Craig or Christine, but the whole family. You know,
Yeah,
the
you
way
take
they
you
push
take
the
one
industry.
link out of that chain, it's
And
not, it's
the
not
way
the same
that-
chain anymore.
Yeah, like that whole family entity and everything is second to none. Another, like I said, this is painting with a brush because I can't just pick out. I would say my teammates would be another family portrait I'd put on there, and that's probably going against the rules because you asked for
No,
4
it's
people.
your
but
it's
I
your
can't-
deal.
I
It
can't
could be
do it.
however you want it to be.
Yeah. Mom, Turker family, teammates, and influence.
Your wife probably is one of them on there.
Yeah, wife and daughter, both. of
I
them.
do always love
Because-
hearing about your family life and about, like, because you are so proud of your daughter. Like, it's always great to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, she's getting closer to that 6 foot mark, so she's gonna be a turd. You know how them 6-footers are. No, but no, yeah, both of them are steady rocks for sure to put up with me and everything. Ace, she leaves for college this fall, and so
Oh, wow.
starts a new chapter there. I remember when she was running around, this tall with pigtails. But yeah, that would be on my mount. I mean, that's probably breaking the rules, but that's how I'd put it. I can't just name 4 people. That's hard because, like
We
I
don't
said,
got strict
everybody-
rules here.
Yeah, no rules. But that's how it'd be. All the teammates, wife, daughter, Turker family,
Those are good ones, man.
mom.
Those are good ones. Well, Adam, I
Yeah.
could talk to you for hours and hours, and we'll have to have you on here again, man. We appreciate it very much, taking time out of your
anytime.
night and from your family, and spreading some knowledge.
No worries.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Hey, thank you very
No worries,
much,
guys.
Adam.
Thank y'all.
Take care.
Thanks, Adam.